Good morning from beautiful Oklahoma. It is July 20th, I believe, a Friday morning. I decided I wanted to try something a little bit different. Maybe just a little talk session. Thought about calling it Jeep Jabbering because I'm in my Jeep this morning and I may be jabbering because some of this may not make a bit of sense. But I wanted to take you on this journey this morning and just try something a little different as I drive to work this morning. So in Oklahoma, we have a lot of thunderstorms. We're known as being part of Tornado Alley, so we get frequent tornadic storms. Now, it hasn't been so much in the last couple of years, but when we do get them, they tend to be bad. When my mom and dad first bought their place back, I was just 5 years old then, they had a storm cellar built, what we call a freighty hole. And I remember as a young girl, the storm cellar being built. We was on some rocky land and they had to come in and dynamite in order to get through some of the rock to build this particular storm cellar. Funny thing happened in that storm cellar not too long ago. After my parents died, my husband and I were living on the property. Sorry that you're bouncing around. I'm going down my hill. We kind of live on a little mountain here. Anyway, so my parents died and my husband and I and my daughters were living on the property in my grandma's trailer. She shared the other side of the property. And we had one of those bad storms come through. And so I got up because we was living in the trailer. You do not want to spend time in a trailer in an Oklahoma tornadic storm. So I got the kids up. I woke my husband up. He was like, nah, I don't want to go to the storm cellar. I'll stick it out, take the kids and go on. So as a kid, the storm cellar was nice enough that it was even like my playhouse. They had electricity. Dad put a fan down there. We had a radio. It was just it even had a little cot at one time, because when mom and dad would wake me up as a kid and we'd go to the cellar, a lot of times they'd put me on that bed or whatever cot thing and I would sleep while the storm was going on. But on this particular night when I took the girls, a few years back, we get down in the cellar, I turn on the light, I turn on the radio so we can hear what's going on. It's just now the wind's starting to blow, the thunder's crashing, it's starting to lightning. I left the door open as long as I could because I just didn't like being closed up in a cellar. So it started raining and I had to close the door. But when you enter this storm cellar, it's like 10 steps straight down, and then the door kind of folds over on top of that. Anyway, so I get the girls all situated. Mind you, they're not young kids at this time. Beth is probably 15 maybe, and Michaela's probably 18 or so. But anyway, so there's chairs lined up around the side of the walls of the cellar, and they get in the chairs, and I got the light on, and I'm just kind of standing there, not really seated, just kind of looking around the cellar. I hadn't been in it a while. And so I notice on the floor by my feet there's a snake skin. And I have to pay attention to my driving here, getting on the highway. Anyway, there's this snake skin, so it just kind of caught my attention and I was going, oh no, what's up with that? So I'm looking around me to see what I could use if I needed to have a weapon. And my dad, like I said, he always kept the storm cellar packed for emergencies, so there was a fire axe back in the corner behind me. And so I'm thinking, okay, if I have to have something there, I got that fire axe, and I'm looking around the cellar, watching the trying to watch the storm, trying to listen to the radio about the weather, but also looking around the shelves to see if I could see any signs of snakes or anything. And I wasn't seeing anything. I thought, oh good, they just came down to the cellar, shed their skin, they took off. But as I was looking towards the storm cellar door where we come down the steps and come into the cellar floor, there's a towel there because it was raining, and they had put a towel to kind of capture some of the moisture and rain as it leaked through that old door. And I'm looking at this towel and it begins to move, and then I see something start coming out from underneath the towel. And excuse me, it was that moment that I noticed it was a snake. Now, mind you, it was about this long, but needless to say, it was a snake. So the girls started screaming. They're standing up in the chairs, and I immediately run into action and I grab the fire axe. So I take the fire axe and I make quick use of it, and I get rid of that snake. Okay, so it's storming outside. Rain is coming down by the barrel loads. Lightning is flashing. Electricity's starting to go on and off in the storm cellar. And I thought, okay, we took care of the snake. It's going to be okay. Well, about that time, another snake starts coming out from underneath that towel. So I grabbed the pickaxe, huge axe, and my girls still talk about this story today because they say it's almost like a horror movie, because at this time when I'm grabbing the axe, with the electricity going off, the lights are like strobing, so it's like in slow motion. Me swinging this axe. They said they didn't know if they was more scared of the snakes or the axe at that moment, and I take care of that snake. So by now, me and the girls, we're ready to get out of that place. So we decide it's better to take our chances with the storm than to be in a cellar full of snakes, because I didn't know how many more were going to come out from under that towel, and I had just about had my limit of snake killing that night. So I get on my cell phone and I'm calling my husband, who's across the yard and across the driveway in the house, and I said, get me out of here, this cellar's full of snakes. And so he comes, he gets dressed, he comes and he opens the cellar door. And so the bad part is that in order to get out of the cellar, we have to cross the towel to get onto the steps to get out. So we get up there, and my girls leap over the towel, they get out, and then I'm having to turn off, well no, I decided I wasn't going to turn off the light. The light was just going to stay on all night, because I wasn't going to turn off and be in the dark, not knowing when the snakes are going to come out. So I leave the light on, I jump over that, and we get out of the cellar and make our way to the house. Next day, we had a friend come up, and who wasn't as scared of snakes as I am, and he went down into the cellar, and I think he got another one out of the cellar. So I don't think I've really been back into that cellar since. Of course, my husband and I moved. It's not too far from us, but we've decided better to take our chances with the storms than be in a cellar full of snakes. Well, I'm almost at work now, and I want to thank you for joining me for this episode of Jeep Jabbering. This may be the first and final episode. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. I'm a novice at this YouTube stuff. Right now, all my filming is done on an iPhone 8. All my editing is done on the phone. So it's not the greatest equipment at the time, but it's what I have at the moment, and you use what you have in your hand. So once again, thank you for joining. Hit the like button. Please subscribe. Helps me out. Also, remember, you have but one life to live, so go out and capture your moment. Than to be in a snake full of cellars. I mean, a snake.